Imagine holding a small piece of history in the palm of your hand, something so ordinary at first glance, yet so extraordinary once you know its story. One coin, barely larger than a thumbnail, can carry decades of history, secrets of the mint, and even the potential to change hands for thousands of dollars. Today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating pieces of American coinage, the 1964 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny. You may have passed it by in your change, but what if I told you some of these pennies are quietly hiding immense value? Let's explore why this seemingly simple copper coin has captured the hearts of collectors for over half a century. The 1964 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny is part of the long-running series of Lincoln cents, first introduced in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States. By 1964, this penny had been in circulation for more than 5 decades, carrying with it the legacy of Lincoln's image on one side and the familiar wheat ears on the other. What sets the 1964 D penny apart is not just its age, but the story of its creation, its unique features, and the surprising market demand that has developed among collectors over the years. 1964 was a pivotal year for the United States. The country was navigating social change, political turbulence, and a growing economy. The U.S. Mint, located in Denver, Philadelphia, and San Francisco, was busy producing coins to keep up with everyday demand. The D Mint mark indicates that this particular penny was struck at the Denver Mint. Unlike some years, 1964 pennies were produced in massive quantities. But what makes certain 1964 D pennies special is what lies in the details. The Lincoln penny of 1964 retains the classic design that has become instantly recognizable. On the obverse, or front, we see Abraham Lincoln in profile, facing right, his features clear, dignified, and solemn. The word liberty stretches along the left edge, and the date 1964 appears just to the right of Lincoln's bust. The small D Mint mark, indicating the Denver Mint, sits subtly beneath the date. Turn the coin over, and the reverse displays the iconic wheat ears design, a tribute to the nation's agricultural roots. Between these two stalks, the words 1 cent are proudly stamped, and above them the phrase United States of America. At the bottom, the motto, EPLURIBUS UNUM, reminds us of the unity and diversity that define the country. What makes the 1964 D Lincoln penny even more intriguing is its metal composition. These pennies are made from 95% copper and 5% zinc, a formula that remained standard until 1982 when the U.S. Mint began using mostly zinc with a thin copper coating. The high copper content makes 1964 D pennies heavier and gives them a distinctive reddish-brown color when well preserved. Collectors often seek out those with minimal wear, strong color, and sharp details. Errors and varieties add another layer of fascination for collectors. While the 1964 D penny does not have the extreme rarities seen in other years, there are still minor die errors that can make a coin more valuable. Some coins exhibit doubled dies, slight misalignments, or faint die cracks. These subtle imperfections, often only noticeable under magnification, turn an otherwise common coin into a collectible treasure. Even a small anomaly can trigger significant interest among numismatists, who are always on the lookout for coins that deviate from perfection. So, why is this penny considered valuable? At first glance, it may seem ordinary. After all, millions were minted in 1964. But the value is not just in the number produced. It's in the condition, the minting anomalies, and the persistent demand from collectors. Coins that have never circulated, often called mint state, can command prices far above face value. In some cases, a pristine 1964 D Lincoln penny has sold for several $100s at auction. The more detailed and unblemished the coin, the higher the price collectors are willing to pay. To illustrate, there have been verified sales where a high-grade 1964 D penny sold for more than $300, while examples with rare die errors reached even higher prices. Coins with perfect color and no signs of wear are particularly prized. The market for Lincoln pennies is strong because many collectors aim to own every year and mint mark in top condition, and the 1964 D is an essential part of that collection. For anyone curious about identifying a genuine 1964 D penny, there are a few simple steps. First, look for the small D beneath the date on the obverse side. The mint mark should be clear, well-formed, and consistent with official Denver mint markings. Examine the weight and feel of the coin. Authentic 1964 pennies are heavier than modern zinc pennies. Check the color and texture. Genuine copper has a distinct reddish-brown patina that develops with age. For those exploring potential errors, magnification is key. Minor die cracks or doubling on the lettering can indicate increased value. And of course, when in doubt, consulting a professional coin grader or numismatist is always the safest approach. Here's a fun detail. Despite being over 50 years old, many 1964D pennies remain in circulation. They slip through the cracks in drawers, jars, and forgotten coin rolls. Some have been found in exceptional conditions simply because they were tucked away and never spent. The idea that a single coin in your pocket or your old change jar could be worth hundreds of dollars is a thrilling reminder of the hidden treasures around us every day. Collectors love this coin today not just for its potential value, but for the connection it provides to the past. Holding a 1964D Lincoln penny is like touching history, a tangible piece of mid-20th century America. It reflects the artistry of coin design, the meticulous work of the Denver Mint, and the enduring appeal of Abraham Lincoln as a national symbol. Numismatists appreciate the subtle differences, the way each coin tells its own story, and the way a single penny can spark a lifetime of collecting passion. The allure of the 1964D penny also lies in its accessibility. While extremely rare coins can cost tens of thousands or more, a high-quality 1964D is within reach of most collectors. It's a gateway coin, a chance to start a collection that combines history, artistry, and investment potential. Its continued popularity among collectors ensures that it will remain a sought-after piece for years to come. Even more intriguing is the idea that you might unknowingly own one. Perhaps in a jar of old change, or tucked away in a forgotten wallet, there could be a 1964D Lincoln penny waiting to reveal its story and its worth. Coins like these remind us that history isn't just in books or museums. It can be in your pocket, ready to spark curiosity, conversation, and perhaps even a small fortune. So next time you come across a penny from 1964, take a closer look. Notice the details of Lincoln's profile, the sharpness of the wheat ears, the subtle D mint mark. Consider the decades it has survived, the hands it has passed through, and the secrets it might hold. The 1964D Lincoln penny is more than just a coin. It's a bridge to the past, a collectible with charm, and a small but powerful reminder that even the simplest objects can have extraordinary stories to tell. Who knows what hidden treasures might still be waiting in your change jar, ready to captivate, surprise, and even reward those who take the time to look closely. The next time you pick up a penny, remember, history often hides in the smallest places, and sometimes a single coin can be worth far more than anyone imagined. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that, at first glance, looks like any ordinary penny. But then you realize this little piece of metal could hold secrets worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Today, we're diving into one of the most intriguing coins in modern American history, the 1968D Mint Mark Lincoln penny. It's a coin that sits quietly in drawers and jars across the country, yet for collectors, it carries a story few people truly know. The 1968D Lincoln penny is part of the long-running series of 1-cent coins honoring President Abraham Lincoln, first introduced in 1909 to mark the centennial of his birth. These coins have been a staple of American currency for over a century, instantly recognizable by Lincoln's profile on the obverse and the iconic Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, which was added in 1959. While billions of pennies were minted in the 1960s, the 1968D penny holds particular fascination for collectors because it represents a moment in history when the United States was changing, and coins were subtly shifting along with it. 1968 was a year of turmoil and transformation in America. It was a time of social and political upheaval, from the civil rights movement to the Vietnam War. In the midst of this, the U.S. Mint continued its work producing coins for everyday commerce. The D on this penny tells us it was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the two main mints producing Lincoln cents at the time, alongside Philadelphia. Millions of these coins were made, yet certain variations and errors make some of them highly sought after today. At first glance, a 1968D penny looks like a standard copper-plated coin. It is composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc, a composition consistent with pennies of the era before the shift to primarily zinc in the 1980s. The coin features the familiar Lincoln profile on the front, facing right, with the word Liberty on the left and the date and mint mark on the right. The back displays the Lincoln Memorial, complete with a tiny statue of Lincoln visible between the columns, a detail many people overlook. What makes the 1968 D penny particularly interesting to collectors is not just the design, but the subtle variations and errors that sometimes appear. Some coins from this year have double die errors, where parts of the design appear slightly duplicated, creating a faint but noticeable doubling effect on the letters or numbers. Others may show variations in the positioning of the mint mark or in the surface finish, which can indicate whether the coin was struck for circulation or intended as a proof coin. Even small differences can make a huge impact on value, and spotting them requires a careful eye. So why is this penny considered rare or valuable by collectors? The reality is that while millions of 1968 D pennies were minted, most were circulated and worn down, leaving only a small percentage in pristine, uncirculated condition. Coins that are perfectly preserved, with sharp details, full mint luster, and no scratches or discoloration, are much more desirable. Certain error coins from this year can command even higher prices because they are one of a kind or extremely limited in number. Collectors often search through jars and rolls of pennies, hoping to uncover one of these hidden gems. Real auction records show just how valuable a 1968 D Lincoln penny can be. A standard circulated coin may only be worth a few cents above face value. However, a coin in uncirculated condition, graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC, can fetch anywhere from $20 to a few $100s, depending on the coin's grade. Rare error coins or proof-like versions can go much higher, sometimes reaching into the thousands. One notable sale recorded a 1968 D penny with a prominent double die error selling for several $1,000s, demonstrating how even a coin from a seemingly ordinary year can become a prized collectible. Identifying a genuine 1968 D penny is not difficult, but it requires attention to detail. The mint mark, a small D on the right side of the date, must be clearly struck. The weight should be consistent with standard pennies of the era, about 3.11 grams, and the coin should have the characteristic copper color with the correct surface texture. Be cautious of coins that appear unusually shiny or have irregular markings, as counterfeit or altered coins do exist. For those who want certainty, professional grading services can authenticate a coin and provide a grade that helps determine its market value. There are some surprising and fun details about the 1968 D penny that most people don't know. For instance, the Lincoln Memorial design on the back contains 24 columns, one for each state in the Union at the time of Lincoln's death, and the tiny Lincoln statue in the center can be seen without magnification only on higher-grade coins. The 1968 penny was also part of a series that marked a transition in minting technology, as the Denver Mint was improving its striking process to produce sharper and more detailed coins. These little historical touches make the coin more than just a piece of money. They make it a miniature time capsule. Collectors love the 1968 D penny today not just for its potential value, but for the story it tells. It represents a snapshot of American history, minted in a year of change, yet still carrying the enduring image of one of the nation's most respected presidents. For hobbyists and serious numismatists alike, finding a well-preserved example is a thrill, a tangible connection to the past that can also be a smart investment. The coin sits in albums, drawers, and collections across the country, waiting for those who know how to spot its worth. Even casual collectors find themselves drawn to the subtle beauty of this penny. The way the light catches Lincoln's profile, the tiny details of the memorial, and the feel of the coin between your fingers can spark a sense of wonder. It's a reminder that even the smallest objects can hold great stories, and that sometimes, a coin from over 50 years ago can connect you to a broader history of the United States. So the next time you find a penny in your pocket or your change jar, take a moment to look closely. Could it be a 1968 D Lincoln penny, quietly waiting to be discovered? Maybe it has an unusual error, a perfectly preserved surface, or some other hidden trait that makes it special. What seems like an ordinary coin could actually hold a remarkable story, a piece of history, and a connection to collectors around the world who value it far beyond its face value. The 1968 D Lincoln penny reminds us that history often hides in plain sight. It's a coin that can surprise, delight, and even change lives for those who find the right example. Every scratch, shine, and detail tells a story of the era it was minted in, the people who used it, and the collectors who treasure it today. And while most pennies pass unnoticed, some, like the 1968 D, quietly wait for the eyes that can appreciate their true worth. Could your change jar be holding a secret treasure? That's the magic of the 1968 D Lincoln penny. It's ordinary enough to be overlooked, yet extraordinary enough to spark curiosity, inspire collectors, and remind us that history is often just one coin away. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that millions of people passed by without a second glance, yet it carries a story that could surprise you. The 1970 D Lincoln penny might look ordinary at first, just a small, coppery coin featuring Abraham Lincoln's profile. But for collectors and coin enthusiasts, it holds secrets that make it fascinating, rare, and sometimes surprisingly valuable. Today, we're diving into the story of this unassuming piece of American history, uncovering what makes it special, and why it continues to captivate coin collectors decades after it was minted. The 1970 D Lincoln penny is part of a long line of pennies honoring Abraham Lincoln, first introduced in 1909 to mark the 100th anniversary of his birth. The D mint mark indicates that it was struck at the Denver Mint. Like all Lincoln cents, it features Lincoln's profile on the obverse or front side and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, a design that had been in use since 1959. At a glance, it looks much like the pennies you might still find in your pocket change, yet its story is far from ordinary. In 1970, the United States was still in the midst of a coinage transition. The penny, which had been made primarily of copper for decades, was facing supply challenges. Rising copper prices meant the U.S. Mint had to be careful with production costs, though this would not lead to a major change in composition until the following years. The Lincoln penny in 1970 was struck in the familiar 95% copper, 5% zinc composition, a blend that gave it the warm, reddish color collectors know and love. The Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of these coins that year, so most people today have seen one without giving it a second thought. What sets the 1970 D Lincoln penny apart is not its design, which is consistent with other pennies of its era, but the details hidden in its production. Coins are tiny machines of history. Each die that strikes a coin can develop unique characteristics. In 1970, a few of these pennies were struck with what collectors call errors. One of the most famous among these is the doubled die variety, where parts of the date or letters appear slightly doubled due to a misalignment in the minting process. While these errors are rare, they create significant interest because they are unique and impossible to replicate in a legitimate way outside the mint. The 1970 D Lincoln penny is considered especially interesting because most surviving examples are common and very inexpensive. However, certain errors or unusual minting quirks can turn a simple penny into a coin worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Coins with exceptionally sharp details, proof-like surfaces, or unusual die variations catch the eye of collectors and can fetch surprising prices at auction. In some cases, coins with a strong doubling effect on the date or the word, Liberty, have sold for significant sums, especially if they are graded highly by professional coin grading services. Real-life auction results illustrate this point. A standard 1970 D penny in circulated condition might be worth just a few cents to a collector. However, one with a clear doubled die or an unintentional die crack could sell for hundreds or even thousands, depending on its condition. For example, a high-grade 1970 D doubled die penny sold online for over $500, and a pristine specimen with sharp details can fetch even more. This shows how a coin that most people see as ordinary can transform into a prized collectible with the right attributes. Identifying a genuine 1970 D Lincoln penny starts with looking at the date and the mint mark. The D should be clearly visible under magnification, slightly raised above the surface of the coin. For those interested in double die varieties, careful examination under a magnifying glass or microscope can reveal the subtle doubling in the numbers of the date or letters in Liberty. It's important to compare the coin to known examples from trusted guides or online databases because counterfeit or altered coins do exist. Expert grading services like PCGS or NGC provide authentication, which is especially important for coins being bought or sold for significant amounts. Handling the coin carefully, avoiding cleaning it, and keeping it in a protective holder will preserve its condition and value. One fun fact about the 1970 D. Lincoln penny is that it was minted during a time of significant social change in the United States. The country was in the midst of the Vietnam War, the space race had just achieved remarkable milestones, and American culture was shifting rapidly. Coins like this penny were part of everyday life, used in grocery stores, vending machines, and public transit, connecting ordinary citizens to the ongoing story of the nation. The coin also represents a moment in minting technology, where mass production had reached an unprecedented scale, but human oversight still allowed for the small errors and quirks that make coins collectible today. Another surprising detail is that even though hundreds of millions of these pennies were minted, certain varieties remain scarce. The rarity does not come from the number of coins produced, but from the survival of coins in exceptional condition or with unusual features. Collectors often hunt through boxes of pennies to find one that stands out, whether it's a slight misstrike, a doubling effect, or a particularly shiny surface that survived decades of circulation. The thrill of discovery, combined with the potential for value, keeps interest in the 1970 D. Lincoln penny alive to this day. Collectors love this penny not only because of its potential financial value, but also because it is a piece of living history. Holding a 1970 D. Lincoln penny connects someone to a specific time and place, linking them to the hands of countless Americans who used the coin in everyday life. It's a tangible reminder of the past, a way to appreciate the craftsmanship and care that went into something as simple as a 1-cent piece. Many collectors enjoy the challenge of spotting subtle errors, learning the stories behind them, and adding these pennies to carefully curated collections that tell the story of America's coins over time. In the end, the 1970 D. Lincoln penny is much more than spare change. It is a coin with a history that reflects both the everyday life of Americans and the intricate world of coin production. Some are common, some carry small errors, and a few are remarkable enough to draw serious attention from collectors and investors alike. If you ever stumble upon a penny from 1970 with a Denver mint mark, take a moment to examine it closely. You might be holding a piece of history, a potential collectible, or even a coin that could surprise you with its value. So next time you reach into your pocket or your coin jar, remember that even the most ordinary-looking penny can have a story waiting to be discovered. The 1970 D. Lincoln penny is a small coin with a big history, a reminder that sometimes the most unassuming objects can hold the greatest surprises. Keep your eyes open, because the next valuable coin could be hiding in plain sight. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that looks ordinary at first glance, but could quietly be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. A small piece of history, stamped with the image of one of America's most beloved presidents, yet hiding secrets that only the most careful collectors notice. Today, we're going to explore the 1975 D. Lincoln penny, a coin that seems simple, but holds a fascinating story for anyone curious about rare U.S. currency. The 1975 D. Lincoln penny is part of the long-running Lincoln cent series, first introduced in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln on the 100th anniversary of his birth. This particular penny, minted in Denver, as indicated by the small D just below the date, represents a snapshot of American coinage in the mid-1970s. While millions were minted that year, certain characteristics make the 1975 D penny an intriguing item for collectors. To understand the significance of this coin, we need to travel back to 1975. America was in a time of change, moving out of the post-Vietnam era, and everyday items like coins reflected the subtle shifts in culture and economy. The Lincoln penny of this year wasn't a commemorative issue, but it carried forward the design that had been largely consistent for decades. Abraham Lincoln's profile on the obverse, a tribute to his enduring legacy, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, which had been introduced in 1959 to mark the centennial of Lincoln's birth. The 1975 D penny is made primarily of copper, with a small amount of zinc. This composition gives it the warm, reddish-brown color that collectors immediately recognize. Its design is familiar, yet it's in the details where true interest begins. The obverse shows Lincoln's thoughtful, slightly stern profile, capturing both strength and solemnity. The words "In God We Trust" arch over his head, with liberty and the date positioned strategically. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial is detailed, with tiny inscriptions that require a closer look to appreciate fully, including the words "United States of America" and "E pluribus unum." What makes some 1975D pennies stand out is the presence of minting errors, which can significantly increase their value. One of the most talked about errors is the doubled die, where the inscriptions or numerals appear slightly duplicated due to a misalignment in the die used to strike the coin. These doubling effects are subtle but very noticeable under magnification. Another possible error involves off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing or shifted, creating an unusual, almost abstract appearance. While not all 1975D pennies carry these errors, those that do are highly sought after by collectors because they are much rarer than the standard, perfectly struck coins. You might wonder, with millions of these pennies produced, how could any be considered rare? The answer lies in the combination of age, condition, and errors. Many pennies from the 1970s were spent and circulated, collecting nicks and scratches over decades. A 1975D penny in pristine condition, especially with a clear mint mark and no wear, is unusual. Add a minting anomaly, and the coin moves from ordinary pocket change into a collector's treasure. It's this potential for rarity that sparks curiosity among numismatists, the experts who study and collect coins, and even casual enthusiasts who stumble upon a perfect specimen at home. To understand the market value, we can look at actual auction results. A standard 1975D penny in circulated condition typically fetches only a few cents or a few dollars from collectors, reflecting its common status. However, a 1975D penny with a noticeable doubled die error can reach several $100s at auction. And in some cases, coins in flawless, uncirculated condition have sold for over $1,000. The prices fluctuate based on demand, the severity of the error, and the coin's overall condition. These real-life examples show that while most of us may have tossed these pennies in jars or drawers, one carefully preserved piece could be worth a serious sum. If you're curious about finding a valuable 1975D penny, it's important to know how to spot an authentic coin. Start by checking the mint mark. The D should be clear and centered under the date. Examine the details of Lincoln's profile and the Lincoln Memorial, looking for signs of doubling or off-center strikes. Authentic coins will show consistent wear patterns if circulated, while fakes often have irregularities that are too uniform or look artificially enhanced. Using a magnifying glass and comparing with verified examples from reliable sources can help ensure you're seeing a genuine coin. For serious collectors, professional grading by trusted organizations adds confidence and can dramatically affect the coin's market value. There are also fun and surprising details that make this penny fascinating beyond its potential monetary value. For instance, the Lincoln Memorial design on the reverse is so detailed that, with careful observation, you can see the tiny figure of Lincoln seated inside the memorial. It's a small artistic touch that many casual viewers overlook, but delights collectors and history enthusiasts alike. Additionally, 1975 was one of the last years before the U.S. Mint began experimenting with different metal compositions for pennies, making this copper-rich coin a kind of historical marker for mid-20th century coinage. Collectors love the 1975D Lincoln penny today for a mix of reasons. It represents a tangible connection to history, a reminder of the era it was made in. It's small, portable, and yet capable of sparking discovery. Finding a rare specimen in a jar of old coins is like uncovering a hidden treasure. The potential for errors and unique variations adds an element of detective work, appealing to those who enjoy the challenge of spotting subtle differences. For many, it's not just about the money. It's about preserving a piece of American heritage and feeling the excitement of being part of a long tradition of collectors. In the end, the 1975D Lincoln penny may look like a simple coin, easily overlooked among loose change, but it carries stories and possibilities that reach far beyond its 1-cent face value. From its historical context to the thrill of discovering a rare minting error, this small copper disc reminds us that even ordinary objects can hold extraordinary significance. Next time you encounter a penny from the 1970s, take a closer look. You never know if one might be hiding a secret, quietly waiting for someone to notice and unlock its hidden potential. The world of rare coins is full of surprises, and the 1975D Lincoln penny is a perfect example of how even the smallest pieces of history can inspire curiosity, wonder, and maybe even a little fortune. If you start paying attention, that jar of pennies on your counter might not be as ordinary as it seems. One coin could change your perspective on what's valuable, what's historical, and what's worth preserving. The next time you hold a 1975 D Lincoln penny, remember, it's more than metal and design. It's a small piece of American history, a puzzle for collectors, and a chance to connect with decades of stories that have passed through countless hands. Could the next rare find be sitting quietly in your own pocket? Only a closer look will tell. Imagine holding a piece of history in the palm of your hand, a small coin that has passed through decades of American life, yet carries a story few people notice. Among the countless pennies minted in the United States, the 1976 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny stands out, not because it was flashy, but because it quietly tells a story of a nation in a moment of change. And for some collectors, it represents a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered. Today, we're diving deep into this unassuming coin, uncovering its history, its unique traits, and why some of these pennies have captured the fascination of collectors across the country. The 1976 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny is, at first glance, like any other 1-cent coin. It bears the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln, the 16th president, on its obverse side, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But every detail of this coin, from its date to the mint mark, tells a story about its origin and the era it comes from. The D stamped on the coin isn't just a letter. It signifies that this penny was minted in Denver, one of the two primary mints producing pennies at the time, the other being Philadelphia. While millions of these coins were made for everyday use, a few subtle variations and characteristics have made certain examples much more interesting to collectors today. Let's step back for a moment and explore the history of the Lincoln penny itself. First introduced in 1909, the Lincoln cent was designed to commemorate the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Over the decades, it became one of the most recognizable coins in the United States. By the 1970s, the penny had undergone only minor design changes. The year 1976 was particularly significant because it fell during the United States bicentennial celebrations, a period when American history and heritage were being celebrated across the country. Though the Lincoln penny didn't feature a special bicentennial design that year, unlike the quarters, half dollars, and dollars that did, it still represented an era when coin collecting was growing in popularity, partly fueled by national pride and a renewed interest in historical artifacts. The 1976 D Lincoln penny may appear ordinary, but a closer look reveals some unique features. Like most pennies minted from 1962 to 1982, it is primarily made of copper, but with a small percentage of zinc. The Denver mint mark, a small letter D located just below the date on the obverse side, is clear and distinct on well-preserved coins. The Lincoln design itself shows fine details, from the lines in his hair to the folds of his coat, and the reverse side features the Lincoln Memorial with remarkable clarity for such a small coin. Some coins from this year also have slight variations caused by the minting process. Minor errors like doubled dies, small die cracks, or variations in the positioning of the mint mark can make certain pennies more desirable to collectors. These subtle differences may go unnoticed by the casual observer, but can dramatically increase a coin's value. Now, why is the 1976 D penny considered rare or valuable? While the vast majority of these coins were produced for general circulation, a few survived in exceptional condition or possess rare errors. For example, a 1976 D penny in uncirculated, mint-state condition with a perfect strike can command significantly more than its face value simply because collectors prize coins that have avoided the wear and tear of daily use. Coins with mint errors, such as doubled dies or unusually strong or weak strikes, are even more sought after. These imperfections make each coin unique, adding an element of excitement for collectors who enjoy finding something unusual in a stack of otherwise ordinary pennies. Auction records and collector markets show just how much interest there is in certain 1976 D pennies. A standard circulated penny from this year might still be worth only a few cents above face value, but an uncirculated coin with a strong strike can sell for $5 to $20. Coins that feature a noticeable mint error, or those graded highly by professional coin grading services, can fetch hundreds or even thousands of dollars, depending on rarity and condition. These values illustrate the principle that even a seemingly simple 1-cent coin can hold more than just monetary worth. It can carry historical significance, rarity, and a tangible connection to collectors' passions. For anyone hoping to identify a genuine 1976 D. Lincoln penny, a few tips can help. Start by examining the mint mark carefully. The D should be sharp, clear, and well-defined. Check the date for consistency, and compare the coin's weight and size to standard specifications. Authentic 1976 pennies weigh about 3.11 grams and have a diameter of 19.05 millimeters. Under magnification, the details of Lincoln's profile and the Lincoln Memorial should be crisp. Be cautious of coins that appear overly worn or have unusual coloring, as these could be altered or counterfeit. Consulting a professional coin dealer or using a grading service is the safest way to confirm authenticity, especially for coins believed to be error specimens. Beyond the technical aspects, there are some fun and surprising details about this coin. The 1976 D penny was minted during a time of dramatic cultural and economic change in the United States. Americans were experiencing post-Vietnam War shifts, celebrating the nation's 200th birthday, and witnessing advancements in technology that were beginning to reshape daily life. This penny, carried in pockets and purses across the country, became a silent witness to these moments. Some collectors enjoy imagining the journey each coin took, passing from hand to hand, from vending machines to cash registers, before eventually being tucked away in a coin collection. There's a certain romance in the idea that something so small can serve as a portal to the past. Collectors today love the 1976 D. Lincoln penny for a combination of historical context, aesthetic appeal, and the thrill of discovery. While it may not be as instantly valuable as some rare coins from the 20th century, its accessibility makes it a perfect starting point for novice collectors. Experienced collectors appreciate it for spotting subtle variations, studying minting techniques, and understanding the broader trends in U.S. coin production. It's a coin that invites observation, curiosity, and appreciation for the care and craftsmanship that goes into every strike. Perhaps most compelling is the way this coin reminds us that history is often found in small places. The 1976 D. Lincoln penny may be tiny, but it carries stories of national pride, technological precision, and human interest. It bridges generations, connecting collectors who treasure coins today with ordinary Americans who spent them decades ago. Each scratch, shine, or anomaly on the coin tells a story, whether it's the story of a penny that survived decades of use or a mint error that created an unexpected treasure. As you hold a 1976 D. Lincoln penny in your hand, you might see nothing more than a small copper coin. But look closer, and you'll discover that it's so much more than that. It's a reminder that history isn't always found in textbooks or monuments. Sometimes, it's in the smallest, most overlooked objects that have quietly witnessed the world around them. For those willing to look, study, and appreciate, the story of this coin is endless. Who knows, perhaps the penny sitting in your drawer is the next one to catch the eye of a collector and become part of a much larger story yet to unfold. The next time you pick up a penny, think about the journey it may have taken. Think about the people who handled it, the hands it passed through, and the history it has silently observed. And remember, sometimes the most extraordinary discoveries come from the simplest objects, hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone curious enough to notice. The 1976 D. Lincoln penny is one of those objects, a small, humble coin with a history and value that continues to captivate collectors and coin enthusiasts alike. Imagine holding a piece of history in the palm of your hand, something so ordinary that millions of people pass by it every day without a second thought. Yet within its coppery surface could lie a hidden treasure worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars. Today, we're diving deep into a coin that many Americans have in their wallets, jars, and collections, but few truly understand. The 1987 D. Lincoln penny. It's a coin that at first glance seems simple, even mundane, yet it carries stories, errors, and quirks that make collectors sit up and take notice. If you own pennies from the late 1980s, this is one story you don't want to miss. The 1987 D. Lincoln penny is part of the long-running series of 1-cent coins featuring Abraham Lincoln, a series that began in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The D mint mark indicates that this particular penny was produced at the Denver Mint, one of the United States' two primary mints for circulating coins, the other being Philadelphia. On this small, copper-plated coin, you'll find the familiar profile of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, a design that has endured for more than a century, symbolizing not just currency, but a connection to American history and identity. To understand the 1987 D penny, we need to look back at the late 1980s. The United States was in a period of economic stability, but rising production costs for pennies were becoming a concern. The Lincoln penny had already undergone a major transformation in 1982, switching from primarily copper to a zinc core with a thin copper plating. By 1987, this zinc-copper composition was standard, meaning that most pennies from this year are not the heavy, solid copper coins that some older collectors may remember. Despite this, the coin retained its classic appearance, its iconic Lincoln profile on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, a symbol that had adorned the back of the penny since 1959. One of the unique aspects of the 1987 D penny is its design consistency combined with subtle variations that can make a world of difference to collectors. While most coins appear identical, careful eyes and experienced collectors look for minor errors, double strikes, or variations in the mint mark itself. In 1987, a few pennies were reported with weak strikes, where details of Lincoln's hair, the date, or the mint mark were faint. These coins are not common, and that rarity is part of what gives the 1987 D penny its collectible value. Even a coin that seems ordinary can hide these minute variations, which often fetch premiums at auctions. The metal composition is another defining feature. The 1987 D penny is composed of 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper plating, making it much lighter than the Pennies 1,982 copper pennies. This difference in weight and feel can actually help collectors distinguish older coins from newer ones. But it also means that the 1987 D is less likely to develop the deep, rich patina seen on solid copper pennies. Some collectors prefer the subtle sheen and uniform color of these later pennies, while others prize the historical feel of solid copper. So why is this penny rare or valuable? While the 1987 D is not classified as an ultra-rare penny like the 1943 steel penny or the 1955 double die, it has earned attention among collectors due to specific era coins and high-grade specimens. Coins that are uncirculated, showing no signs of wear, can command significantly higher prices than those that have spent decades in pockets and coin jars. Some exceptional era coins from this year, like off-center strikes or double die variations on the date or mint mark, can be worth several $100s or more. These anomalies are highly sought after because they are uncommon and represent a moment when the minting process produced something unexpected, a tiny mistake that becomes a treasure over time. Real-life examples illustrate this value. At recent auctions, uncirculated 1987 D pennies in pristine condition have sold for around $15 to $50, which might seem modest until you consider the face value of just 1 cent. Era coins, depending on the severity of the anomaly, have reached several $100s in private sales. Collectors actively seek out these coins in circulation, sometimes examining hundreds of coins from rolls or jars, hoping to find that one gem with a weak mint mark, an off-center strike, or a subtle doubling that elevates its worth. Identifying a real 1987 D penny versus a counterfeit or reproduction is generally straightforward, but still requires careful attention. Counterfeit pennies are extremely rare because the coin is made from inexpensive metals, but replicas and novelty coins do exist. The first step is to examine the mint mark. The D should be crisp, evenly placed, and slightly raised above the coin's surface. The date should be clear and uniform, with no unusual spacing or font differences. Weight and thickness are also clues. An authentic 1987 D penny weighs approximately 2.5 grams, significantly lighter than Pennies 1,982 pennies. The edges should be smooth and consistent, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse should be well-defined, with clear lines and columns. Any deviation in these details can indicate either an error coin or a problem worth further investigation. There are also some surprising and fun facts about the 1987 D penny. For one, it represents a moment in American history when the penny was firmly transitioning from a predominantly copper coin to a zinc-based coin, a shift that caused debates among collectors and economists alike. Another interesting point is that, despite being mass-produced in the millions, every single penny carries tiny differences. Under a magnifying glass, the lines in Lincoln's hair, the letters on the Lincoln Memorial, and the mint mark itself can show variations caused by the striking process. For those who enjoy the thrill of discovery, even a modern penny can reveal unexpected quirks and minute imperfections that make coin collecting an ongoing adventure. Collectors love the 1987 D. Lincoln penny today not just for its potential monetary value, but for its connection to history and the tangible story it carries. It represents a snapshot of 1987 America, a year when people were going about their daily lives, and the simple penny was a constant companion in their pockets and purses. For collectors, the coin is a reminder of the evolution of currency, minting techniques, and even the small, sometimes overlooked details that can turn an everyday object into a collectible. The thrill of finding an error coin or an uncirculated specimen adds to the excitement, making the 1987 D penny a staple for both beginner and experienced collectors alike. Even decades after it first left the Denver Mint, the 1987 D Lincoln penny continues to spark curiosity. How many are still hiding in drawers, jars, and old coin rolls, waiting to be discovered? Which of these ordinary-looking coins might turn out to be an unexpected treasure? A tiny piece of history worth far more than its 1-cent face value. For anyone with an interest in coins, the 1987 D penny is a reminder that even the most common objects can hold secrets, stories, and surprises that are just waiting for a closer look. So next time you come across a 1987 D Lincoln penny, take a moment to examine it. Look at the details, feel its weight, and imagine the countless hands it has passed through. You might just find yourself holding not just a coin, but a connection to history, a collectible with hidden potential, and a tiny reminder that even ordinary objects can hold extraordinary value. Keep exploring, because the next coin you pick up could be the one that changes everything. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that looks ordinary at first glance, yet could be worth hundreds, even thousands of dollars. A small piece of history, a tiny copper disc, hiding a rare secret that most collectors overlook. Today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating finds in modern American coinage, the 1991 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. If you think all pennies are just 1 cent, think again. This coin has a story that can surprise anyone, from casual coin collectors to serious investors. The 1991 Lincoln penny is part of the long-running Lincoln cent series, first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. These pennies are some of the most widely circulated coins in the United States, appearing in countless wallets, jars, and cash registers. But while most 1991 pennies are common, there's a rare variation that makes certain coins extraordinary: the absence of a mint mark. A mint mark is a small letter stamped on a coin to indicate where it was produced. For Lincoln pennies, the Philadelphia Mint typically didn't include a mint mark in 1991, while coins from Denver would have a D. Normally, Philadelphia pennies from this period are common, but the no mint mark variety can still raise eyebrows among collectors when found in pristine condition. It's subtle, easy to miss, and that subtlety is exactly what makes it so intriguing. The story of the 1991 Lincoln penny begins with its production. In 1991, the U.S. Mint produced billions of pennies, primarily from a mixture of copper and zinc. The outer layer is 95% copper with a 5% zinc core, giving the coin a warm, reddish appearance. This composition had been standard since 1982, when pennies shifted from being mostly copper to mostly zinc. But the 1991 pennies still maintained that classic look, which makes them easy to recognize. What makes certain 1991 pennies stand out isn't just the material, it's the details of the strike and minting process. While most pennies roll off the press looking nearly identical, errors happen. Some coins can have doubled dies, off-center strikes, or small imperfections caused by mishandling during minting. The 1991 no mint mark penny is not defined by a dramatic error, but by its very scarcity. Finding one in exceptional condition, say, uncirculated with no scratches, blemishes, or discoloration, can turn an everyday penny into a prized collector's item. It's the kind of rarity that coin enthusiasts dream about because it feels like discovering a hidden treasure in plain sight. Collectors value this penny for a few reasons. First, its age and condition matter. Even though 1991 isn't considered ancient, a coin that's over 30 years old and still in mint state becomes more interesting over time. Second, the no mint mark feature ties it to the Philadelphia Mint, making it a subtle but distinct variation from other pennies of the same year. Third, scarcity drives curiosity and desire. People love coins that are not easily found in circulation, and the 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln penny fits that bill perfectly. Auction results give us a glimpse into just how much interest this penny can generate. While ordinary 1991 pennies are worth little more than face value, pristine no-mint mark examples have sold for hundreds of dollars. In recent years, coins graded as M-65 or higher, a professional grading scale indicating near-perfect condition, have appeared in collector auctions fetching impressive amounts. These aren't just numbers. They represent collectors' willingness to pay for rarity, authenticity, and the chance to own a tangible piece of history. Identifying a genuine 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is surprisingly straightforward, but attention to detail is essential. First, examine the area beneath the date on the obverse or front of the coin. A Philadelphia penny will have no mint mark at all. Compare it to a Denver penny, which will feature a clear D condition is key. Circulated coins with scratches, dirt, or wear won't fetch high value, so uncirculated examples are preferred. Using a magnifying glass or professional grading service can help ensure authenticity, especially if you plan to buy, sell, or insure the coin. Even for casual collectors, there are fun details worth noticing. The Lincoln design itself tells a story. The obverse features Abraham Lincoln in profile, a design by Victor David Brenner that has been on the penny since 1909. The reverse, known as the Lincoln Memorial Reverse, shows the iconic Washington monument-like memorial and has been part of the design since 1959. On a microscopic level, you might see tiny differences in lettering, the sharpness of Lincoln's profile, or even faint die marks that make each coin unique. Every penny is a miniature work of art, a snapshot of history frozen in copper. Collectors love this coin not just for its monetary value, but for the story it tells. Holding a 1991 no-mint mark penny is like holding a bridge between generations. People remember dropping pennies into soda machines, jars, or cash registers, and now one of those same coins can become an object of fascination and desire. It represents a connection to the past, a tangible piece of American history, and the thrill of discovery. Coins like this invite people to look closer, to appreciate the small details that are often overlooked, and to imagine the stories behind every scratch and shine. Surprising details abound when you dig a little deeper. Did you know that most people never check their change closely enough to notice a no-mint mark penny? It's a coin hiding in plain sight, waiting to be recognized. And while some may assume that only coins from the early 1900s or revolutionary periods can be valuable, the 1991 no-mint mark penny proves that even relatively recent coins can hold unexpected worth. It's a reminder that value isn't always obvious, and that treasures can exist in everyday objects if you know where to look. Today, collectors continue to seek out the 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. Numismatic clubs, online marketplaces, and coin shows frequently highlight these pennies, and the market for high-grade examples remains strong. It's not just about investment, it's about passion, curiosity, and the thrill of discovery. For some, finding one is the culmination of years of hunting through rolls of pennies. For others, it's a sudden realization that a coin sitting on a dresser or in a jar could be far more than just 1 cent. In the end, the 1991 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is more than a coin. It's a story, a piece of American culture, and a subtle reminder that history can be found in the smallest places. It invites us to slow down, to examine what we might normally overlook, and to imagine the journeys these tiny objects have taken over the decades. Who knows what hidden treasures are waiting in your own pocket change, silently holding value that goes far beyond their face. The next time you handle a penny, take a closer look. You might just discover a secret worth far more than you ever expected. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that looks ordinary at first glance, just like the pennies you've been using for decades. But what if I told you that one simple mistake, a missing mark, could make a 1995 penny worth far more than its face value? Today, we're diving into the mysterious world of the 1995 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, a coin that has sparked excitement, curiosity, and sometimes even disbelief among collectors across the United States. This is not just a coin, it's a story frozen in copper and zinc, waiting to be discovered. The 1995 Lincoln penny is part of the long-running Lincoln cent series, which has been in production since 1909. The coin features Abraham Lincoln on the front, a tribute to one of America's most iconic presidents, and the Lincoln Memorial on the back, a symbol of remembrance and honor. But what sets this coin apart from the countless other pennies minted in 1995 is a tiny detail, or rather, the absence of it. Most pennies produced in that year carry a mint mark, a small letter that tells collectors where the coin was made. Denver coins have a D, Philadelphia coins often have a P, and West Point coins sometimes carry a W. Yet, some rare examples from 1995 were minted without any mark at all. That missing letter is what makes this penny so intriguing. To understand the story, we need to step back into 1995. The United States Mint was producing billions of pennies, a task that required precision and coordination. Every coin passes through machines and quality checks, yet human and mechanical errors still happen. Occasionally, a batch would slip through with an absent mint mark, creating a small number of coins that were technically mistakes. For collectors, these anomalies are what transform a mundane penny into a fascinating treasure. The no mint mark 1995 Lincoln penny is one of those anomalies, and it has quietly drawn the attention of serious coin enthusiasts. Visually, the coin is almost identical to a regular 1995 penny. It's composed primarily of zinc with a thin copper coating, giving it the familiar reddish-brown hue we all recognize. Abraham Lincoln's profile dominates the obverse, or front, with the words "In God We Trust" arching above, Liberty etched to the side, and the date clearly visible at the bottom. The reverse side carries the Lincoln Memorial, complete with fine details that reward close inspection. Unlike some rare coins from previous decades, the 1995 no mint mark penny doesn't rely on flashy design errors or unusual shapes. Its uniqueness is subtle, almost invisible to the casual eye, but unmistakable to a collector who knows what to look for. So why is this penny considered rare or valuable? The answer lies in supply and demand. The missing mint mark means that only a tiny fraction of 1995 pennies carry this anomaly. While millions of standard 1995 pennies are still in circulation, the no mint mark versions are scarce, making them highly sought after by collectors who specialize in modern errors. Scarcity drives curiosity, and curiosity drives value. Over time, the reputation of this penny has grown, not just as a collectible, but as a symbol of how even the smallest details can transform an ordinary object into a prized artifact. Real-world examples of this coin changing hands tell a compelling story. In recent years, certain no mint mark 1995 pennies in excellent condition have surfaced at auctions and private sales, depending on the coin's state of preservation, known in collector terms as its grade. These pennies have been sold for hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars. A single example graded near mint by a professional service can attract multiple bids, each bidder aware that they are pursuing a rare piece of American history. For someone who finds one of these pennies in their pocket change, it could be a life-changing moment. The idea that a coin sitting unnoticed in a jar could be worth far more than its face value is a powerful lure for collectors and casual treasure hunters alike. But how can you identify a real 1995 no mint mark penny versus a fake or altered coin? First, start with a sharp eye for detail. Genuine examples will have all the standard design elements of a 1995 penny, but with no letter indicating the mint. Counterfeit coins may attempt to remove or alter a mint mark, but these tampered coins often show traces of grinding or polishing around the date. Professional coin graders look for uniformity in the metal, the sharpness of the design, and any inconsistencies that might suggest manipulation. For everyday enthusiasts, comparing the coin to verified examples online or consulting a reputable dealer can provide peace of mind. Handling the coin carefully, without cleaning or scratching it, preserves its value, which can be surprisingly high for such a small object. Beyond its rarity and potential value, there are fascinating little details that make this penny historically interesting. Did you know that Lincoln pennies have been in production for over a century, and yet collectors are still finding new varieties every year? Coins from the 1990s may seem modern, but errors like the no mint mark examples prove that the story of American coinage is never truly finished. Each coin carries the imprint of its era, from the composition of metals to the design decisions of the mint. The 1995 penny without a mint mark reminds us that even in a world of mass production, perfection is rare, and sometimes rarity is beautiful. Collectors love this coin today for reasons beyond its monetary value. It represents the thrill of discovery, the joy of spotting something that most people overlook. It embodies the challenge of research and the satisfaction of holding a piece of history that few others possess. Owning one connects a collector to a long line of enthusiasts who have valued Abraham Lincoln, the art of coin design, and the tiny quirks that make certain coins extraordinary. For some, it's not just a penny. It's a symbol of patience, observation, and the excitement that comes from finding something unexpected in everyday life. Even casual coin collectors find themselves drawn to this penny. Its story sparks conversations, curiosity, and a sense of wonder. Imagine telling friends or family that you have a penny from 1995 that could sell for hundreds of dollars simply because it doesn't have a mint mark. It turns something as ordinary as a copper coin into a conversation starter, a collectible treasure, and a lesson in history all at once. And for those who enjoy the thrill of the hunt, knowing that this penny could be hiding in circulation or tucked away in an old coin jar adds a layer of adventure to the everyday. The 1995 no-mint mark Lincoln penny may not shine like gold or carry the glamour of ancient coins, but it carries a quiet intrigue that has captivated collectors for decades. Its rarity, subtlety, and historical connection make it a coin worth studying, appreciating, and perhaps even owning. Whether you're a seasoned collector or someone who just enjoys the stories behind everyday objects, this penny demonstrates that value is not always obvious, and history can hide in the smallest of places. So the next time you sift through a handful of change, take a closer look. That ordinary penny could be extraordinary. It could be the 1995 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, a coin that connects the past to the present, a small copper disc that whispers the stories of mistakes, chance, and the ever-present possibility of discovery. Who knows, one of these rare pennies might already be in your pocket, waiting to reveal its hidden worth. History, rarity, and curiosity come together in the 1995 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. And while only a few exist, the story of these coins continues to grow, captivating new collectors and reminding us all that even the most familiar objects can hold secrets worth discovering. Keep your eyes open, your curiosity alive, and your hands ready, because sometimes the smallest objects can carry the greatest surprises. Imagine holding a coin in your hand that millions of Americans pass by every day without a second thought. Yet, this small, unassuming piece of metal could hide a story worth hundreds of dollars, or even more, to the right collector. Today, we're diving into one of those coins that seems ordinary at first glance, but holds secrets for anyone who knows where to look. The 2002 mint mark Lincoln penny. At first glance, it looks like any other Lincoln cent from the early 2000s. Small, copper-colored, bearing the familiar image of Abraham Lincoln on the front and the Lincoln Memorial on the back. But like many coins from the United States Mint, a closer look can reveal surprising details that turn a simple penny into a sought-after collectible. The 2002 penny is one of those coins that has quietly intrigued collectors, especially those who hunt for coins with minor errors or unusual characteristics. The story of this coin begins in 2002. The United States Mint struck billions of pennies each year, and Lincoln pennies have been a mainstay since 1909, honoring the 16th President of the United States. By 2002, the design was well established. Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse had remained largely unchanged for decades, and the reverse still featured the Lincoln Memorial, a symbol of continuity and respect for history. That year, the Denver Mint, indicated by the D mint mark below the date, produced one of the highest volumes of pennies in U.S. history. Most of these coins entered circulation, making them seem like everyday change. But within these billions, a few pennies hold the potential to be far more valuable than face value. One reason collectors pay attention to the 2002 penny is its composition. By 1982, the U.S. Mint had switched the penny from mostly copper to mostly zinc, with only a thin copper plating. This 2002 penny follows that same formula, 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper. While this might not sound exciting, the metal composition makes it more prone to certain types of errors during striking, such as doubled dies, off-center strikes, or unusual minting flaws. These imperfections are what can transform a seemingly ordinary penny into a collectible gem. The design itself is classic Lincoln. On the obverse, Lincoln's profile faces right, detailed and dignified with the inscriptions "In God We Trust, Liberty." and the year 2002 accompanied by the Denver mint mark, D. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial stretches across the coin, meticulously engraved, complete with tiny representations of the statues and columns. While it may appear uniform to the casual eye, collectors often spot subtle variations in the details, sometimes in the lettering, sometimes in the depth of the strike. These small differences can make a significant impact on the coin's desirability. What makes the 2002 D penny particularly interesting to collectors is the presence of minting errors, though they are relatively rare. Some coins show doubled dies, where parts of the date or inscriptions appear doubled. Others have weak strikes, where the image is faint in certain areas, or off-center errors, where the design isn't perfectly aligned with the coin's edge. Even something as minor as a small die crack can turn a standard penny into a collectible item. These imperfections are usually caught by collectors who know what to look for, but they are often invisible to anyone spending the coin in daily transactions. In terms of rarity, the 2002 D penny is not as scarce as some other famous era coins, but that doesn't make it worthless. Its value comes from the combination of condition and unusual features. A flawless, uncirculated 2002 D penny can fetch significantly more than face value, especially if it shows any unique striking errors. For example, coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC with perfect mint luster can reach prices from $10 to over $100, depending on the specific error or variety. Even circulated examples with noticeable mistakes can find eager buyers on auction sites and in coin shows, where collectors are always on the lookout for a hidden treasure among ordinary pennies. Identifying a real 2002 D penny is surprisingly straightforward if you know what to look for. First, examine the mint mark. The Denver mint mark, D, should appear clearly below the date. Next, check for any doubling in the numbers or letters. Minor die errors often create a subtle shadow or repeated line on the date or inscriptions. For off-center strikes, the design may appear shifted toward one edge, leaving an uneven border. Another method is to consider weight. A genuine zinc penny should weigh 2.5 grams. With experience, collectors also learn to notice the color and luster, as genuine coins have a particular metallic sheen that fakes often fail to replicate. By combining these techniques, even casual collectors can confidently identify a genuine 2002 D penny and spot those with unusual characteristics. There are some fun and surprising details about this penny that make it even more fascinating. For instance, while most coins enter circulation immediately, a small fraction might remain in mint rolls, untouched and preserved in near-perfect condition for years. Some of these coins may have minute errors caused by a single strike on a slightly misaligned die. Collectors have found examples with doubled Lincoln profiles or extra lines on the memorial, tiny details that the average person would never notice. These subtle differences are what keep coin enthusiasts returning to their collections, examining each coin under a magnifying glass in the hope of discovering a one-in-a-million find. Collectors love the 2002 D penny today not just for its potential monetary value, but for the story it tells. It represents a period in U.S. minting history, a time when the penny was transitioning fully to zinc, yet still carried the legacy of copper and decades of Lincoln's enduring image. It's also a coin that encourages curiosity. Unlike older coins worth thousands, the 2002 D is accessible to many collectors, allowing them to participate in the hobby without needing a fortune. Each penny carries the possibility of discovery, a connection to history, and the thrill of spotting a hidden error that could increase its value. Even for those who don't actively collect coins, the 2002 D Lincoln penny offers a lesson in paying attention to the small details of everyday life. It shows that what appears ordinary at first glance may hold hidden stories, waiting for someone patient enough to notice. From its historical context to its subtle minting quirks, this penny reminds us that value isn't always obvious, and sometimes ordinary objects can hold extraordinary potential. So next time you reach into your pocket and pull out a shiny copper-colored penny, take a closer look. Could it be a 2002 D Lincoln penny with a tiny imperfection that makes it special? Could it be hiding a rare doubled die or a subtle misstrike that collectors dream about? The ordinary might just be extraordinary, and history may be resting quietly in the palm of your hand. The 2002 D Lincoln penny is more than just a coin. It's a reminder of American history, the precision and complexity of minting, and the excitement of discovery. Its story is ongoing, with collectors around the country still seeking the next coin that will surprise them. And while most people see a simple penny, those who look closely may find a piece of history worth far more than its face value. So keep your eyes open, examine every coin, and never underestimate the little things. They might just hold the key to an unexpected treasure. Because in the world of coin collecting, even the smallest details can spark curiosity, ignite excitement, and sometimes change the value of a coin forever. What secrets might the next penny you pick up hold?